YouTube, it's Maddie the Emptiness Scrapper. Welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you stopped by. If it's your first time, I hope you enjoy the content. And if you're returning, as always, I'm super glad you came back. So today I'm doing another episode of Stash Dive. And Stash Dive is a little series I'm doing for items in my craft room that I have and rarely have used, and I want to play with those, show them a little love, see if I still like them, and if I do, remember to use them more, and if I don't, pass them along to someone who might love them just as much as I hoped to. So here's the item I dug out of my stash today. Any of you who've been crafting for a while certainly recognize this. It was super popular back when it first came out. And it's a set of watercolors. This is called Kuretake Ganzi Tambi watercolors. And this is not the first time I attempted this video, so I'll tell you just quick what happened. I was almost done, and my husband screamed down to me something about the dog, and then the buzzer on the washing machine went off, and so I said, it's not meant to be. So you can see the colors are already out. I did use the paints, finished it off screen, and if it's dry, I'll give you a look-see. But in the meantime, I pulled out my Kuretake, and I was inspired to do so by watching Not Afraid of Color. That's Tracy, Not Afraid of Color, here on YouTube. And she was using some pattern paper. And she pulled out some paper that looked a little bit like this. And I thought, oh, those papers are just beautiful. They were all different watercolor-y type paper. And she said, hey, if I wasn't so lazy, I'd make some of my own. So I pulled out some watercolor paper, and I did make some of my own. And then I did some cleanup and made a little mess, looks like this, a little funky. But we'll see if we can do something with these. And then I thought I'd pull together this video since I was pulling out my Kuretake that I hadn't pulled out in a long time. And I decided I was going to do watercolor at my level, which is, you know, abstract, or, you know, what a kindergartner could do, and that is painting a stamped image. So I just thought I'd pull this over. These are little stash of stamped images that I keep. Some of them you can see are already colored in. And so I was doing one of those when my video got interrupted, and I thought maybe this video wasn't meant to be. And then I said, hey, what about pulling out another one? And I did have another one. I do like to do them if they've been embossed. To me, that's sort of guardrails that keeps my watercolor in its place and not mixing with the other colors. So if you haven't seen this set, I'll give you a little peek. Just comes in a cardboard box. In the cover, there's a place for you to swatch if you like. I prefer to create my own and laminate it. So if I make a mess, which if you know me, I'm prone to making messes. If you make a mess, you could just wipe it off. So that's what I use to pick my colors for the piece that I watercolored that is put aside to dry right now. And the colors are still in here. I'll probably use some of the same colors for this one because they were both florals. So this comes with a plastic over it, and there is a nice array. I think there's 36 colors here at the bottom. There are even some metallics. And I did choose, this is upside down for me, according to my swatch chart. And here are the colors I used. I'll read it off the swatch sheet because I'm going to use some of the same and then add some additional colors as well. But I used, I believe, Rose Madder, which is here. And I used it full strength right here. And I put it in this little mixing space because what I did do was use it at 2 different strengths, so to speak, because since I am not an actual watercolor artist, I have no problem adding white to my colors. If you're ever watching watercolor artists, not all of them, but many of them feel that using white is a no-no. It's very, very bush league or kid level, but that's me. I'm kid level, so I'm not ashamed to say it. So I just use the same Rose Madder twice, one full strength, one with white, and this way I know when I mix them together it's gonna be the same color, so it's not gonna create any surprising mixes. Also, I had 2 little shades of green, and they were sap green light, which is this color right here. Looks like I had a little white left over. Oh well. Oh well, sap green's gonna get a little, sometimes it just looks a little lighter when you dip your brush in. So it may just be that, or it may just be white. That's okay. That's just how I roll. And then right next to it is the sap green, I guess full strength, not light. They're almost the same color. I'm sure they're intended to be able to use it together. And I think I'm probably gonna do a little bit of, I want to say orange or yellow. Maybe I'll decide that later and start with the 2 roses, which are the largest, and then move into the leaves because I have my greens, and figure out the rest on the fly. So here we go. I'm just going to fill in real quick the roses, and I don't have to worry, since it's embossed, I don't have to worry about the lines. They are not gonna smear. It is not gonna stay on those lines. It's basically watercolor for dummies, and I'm not ashamed to use any tricks I can think of to help me create with different mediums at my level. So here we go, watercolor for dummies. If you love crafting and may not necessarily know much about watercolor, but you do have some supplies and you do want to create some projects, maybe this is something for you to think about, if of course you didn't already know about it. It's not, I did not reinvent the wheel. I just like to watch YouTube, like to do crafting, like to try different supplies, and like to share my playtime with the YouTube community. So I'm just gonna slap that on real quick. This way you don't have to be bored to tears. And it's because of the embossing. We don't have to take much care about how to put down the watercolor. It is not going to smear because it's been embossed, and it's not going to create mud or black marks all over your project. And I do really like this soft pink, and I know from watching people who know how to watercolor that if you just add more water to your full strength paints, you should be able to get any hue that you like, you know, within that paint color. Yet when I try it, I just tend to get a runny mess. And I decided this is a watercolor set, I believe, geared towards crafters. And that's me. And I think with the white included, along with, creating highlights with the white, I think it's acceptable, okay, or not so much frowned upon for a crafter to use white in the watercolor. And if it is frowned upon, Jimmy crack corn and I don't care. Nope, don't care at all. But I think the soft pink is pretty much covering the roses, and I'm just going to add hopefully some depth and some interest by adding the full strength pink, and then I'll probably come back in with the lighter to hopefully give the project a little bit of dimension, and maybe it won't look so flat. In the other project I did, the artist had put in some lines that are always fun to follow along and add your darker hue to those lines. This one was more of a clean illustration, but I'm just going to outline it as some people do with their alcohol coloring. And then I'm gonna come back and blend it up a little bit with some water. It may turn out to be a big old mess, but the colors won't mix to mud, so it won't necessarily matter all too much. And if I don't like it, well, I won't use it. But right now, gonna give this a try and see what happens when it is all dry. So here I come back mixing in my lighter hue, trying to see if I can make it not so stark with dark and light. Just let them go on ahead and mix together. They're all from the same paint, and they shouldn't have any problem, when they're combined. And, if it all turns to one and there's just a little bit of dimension, that's fine too. And of course the lighter is getting a little bit darker when it mixes with the full strength, but that's okay. It was pretty light to start. I can add more light, more dark, whatever, when I see how it dries and decide what is pleasing to my eye. And if you have some watercolors and you've been shy about pulling them out and using them, sometimes it's good to step outside and think, well, what do I think I am able to do? I did try to follow a tutorial the other day on just making messy flowers. Oh, they were messy, all right. What a mess. I may try that tutorial again, but for right now, I think I'm just gonna stick with, watercoloring for preschoolers. And there's a reason preschoolers like it. It's fun. It's fun, and the lines are drawn for you. All you have to do is have a good time. And isn't that what this little hobby is all about? So if you are watching and you find it fun just to watch, please enjoy. But I hope either right now you're pulling out your paints or whatever other materials that you feel you've neglected. Pull it out, have a little fun, and join me on these stash dives. That's the intent, to remind people to play with their toys. I'm playing with my toys, and you can't stop me. Having a good time, and I hope you come along with me. And here we go, moving on to the next flower. I'll see how the first one dries back to see if I want to mess with it some more. I do mess with my stuff, and that's part of the fun. Try this, try that. Some things I use and create a card with, and sometimes just gets tossed or, recycled most of the time. Use it to die cut, use it to make dimension, whatever. Oh, there's a mess. Watercolor will lift, so if you have to, you can pick it up. I'll probably use in some of those spaces that are supposed to be white. I'll probably, let's see if I could just pick that up with my finger. But if there's any left over, I will, go over that with a white Posca or any other pen that will hide those mistakes. I have become very good at teaching myself or learning on YouTube things that will help hide my mistakes. I am the queen of mistakes, if nothing else, and I do try to save. Not everything can be saved, but if it's savable, I will try and do it. I will. So now I still have some of this dark. I'm gonna come back here, add a little here and there. Not sure why, but why not? Because I can. And I know you can too. What have you got at home? If you got some Kuretake, Ganzi Tambi, there are lots of popular brands. Some people have Cutman. I have way too many. Let me know in the comments if you want to see a little tour of all my watercolor palettes. I just got another one for Mother's Day, the Paul Rubens one. I had been looking at that for oh so long. Why? Ask me why. I don't know, because I certainly do not missed one. Do not pull up my watercolors nearly as much, because I'll tell you this. It is fun. It is fun. I am liking this. I didn't even look back to see if I like how this project is turning out, but I am like, oh goodness. I do like the process. The process is fun right now, and I hope you're having some fun too. So if you're watching and enjoying, I hope, put in the comment, what, if anything, and I hope there is something, what, if anything, did you pull out of your stash and craft along with me? It could be markers that you never touch. It could be, water-soluble crayons, watercolor pencils. A whole bunch of people got those watercolor pencils by Tim Holtz that came out a little while back, and pull them out, take them for a ride, play with them. Our supplies don't want to get dusty and tired and forgotten. They want to come out for a spin and enjoyed and loved. So I'm trying to move that focus away from collecting, and I do love to collect. I really, really, really do. But also I want to, since I have lots of fun things, I want to remember to use them. I want to play with them. I got them to play with them, and people gifted them to me so I could play with them. So here I am, playing with one of the beautiful gifts I received quite a few years ago, and I am ashamed to say they have not been pulled out and played with nearly enough. I would say maybe a dozen times since I received them, and that was some time ago. You guys remember when these paints were popular? Quite a few years ago. So shame, shame, shame on me. I've got a lot of catching up playing to do because I want to use my supplies. I don't want to open them up, not for paint so much, but so many supplies can, have a shelf life. And I don't want them to expire before I even took them out to play. Okay, we'll come back to that later maybe and move on to some leaves. I'm going to do them all in the light color. And if I feel like throwing in some other colors, I will do that after, as I did with the roses. And, for some reason, I feel like I look at it when it dries back, and I always feel as if I want to mess with them some more. I don't know if it's just me or is it the nature of the hobby that we just keep wanting to mess with it. We want to add something here and there and somewhere else, and I don't know. I don't really feel like I can craft quickly. Some people can bang out a dozen cards in the time that it takes me to do one or two little parts of cards. These are like card parts. So this one probably won't be a card today. Maybe something that I come back to along with the other flowers that I colored on the first time I tried to post this video. But maybe I'll do a separate video on that, or maybe just a project share at the end of the month. We'll see. Let me know in the comments if you're interested at all in putting the cards together, or if you just want to move on to something else. But the main thing is not that you're certainly not going to learn any watercolor techniques from me. I don't know how to watercolor. I know how to have fun and collect supplies. And even when I think I've got so much, please want to save my money, more items come across my screen that I feel like I really still want to have. And I feel like it's almost a merry-go-round, a vicious cycle. And part of using what you have stash dive is to remember I don't necessarily need every kind of paint. I probably could craft the rest of my life with this set of paint and be perfectly fine. The artist quality paints, and they are the reasonably priced ones that I just received. They are the Paul Rubens, and they were gifted to me for Mother's Day. The thing about artist quality paint is that if you sell your art, those colors will not fade. And I know I'm not selling my art. I know if I give someone a card, if it lives a week before it gets tossed away, that's probably going to be its whole lifespan. I don't really need to concern myself necessarily about how light fast it is, but yet I always feel as if I'm drawn to whatever the artists are using. And I promise you this, If I use the same supplies they're using, I'm still not going to have any talent. So trying to remind myself of that. Same with colors, even of stamps. Stamps are made for crafters, people who, you know, are stamping colors and images. They're not creating their own necessarily. Many people can. I'm not one of those people, but many people can. And so I have a lot. I feel I have a lot of inks and ink colors. I think I'm going to, let me take a look. I think I'm going to use yellow, cadmium yellow, and lemon. I think I'm going to use lemon and cadmium. So this is the lemon. And then I will add the cad when I want to do some mixing. So just going to do these two flowers in the cadmium yellow. And maybe do some purples for those little berries. Maybe blue for the berries and purple for these two flowers right here. That's my thinking. We'll see how it looks. So let me just add a little dimension with a slightly darker yellow. And I see that I'm mixing some of that in, but that's okay. So there we go with the darker yellow. We'll see how those dry back together. And a little dab here and there just for some dimension. So now I'm going to move to the, let me just smooth that out a little teeny bit. Yeah. Oh, too much water. There we go. That's the beauty of watercolors. Made for people who make mistakes like me. Made for me, indeed. And of course, same goes true with, you know, if you're prone to staining things, clothing, hands, anything in your path. That's why glass mat is so lovely. It will clean, and glad to be able to use that as a crutch for myself. Yeah. So I'm gonna take a look and choose a color for my berries. And I think I'm gonna go with ultramarine, which is this guy right here. Ultramarine blues, we'll pretend they're blueberries. So let's throw some in the palette and see what we look like here. Oh, that's pretty. Add a little water, mix it up, and dot out some berries. Yep. Yeah, gonna dot out some berries. Bring a little full strength. I put too much water, I think. But I will add some of that for dimension. And now I hear they're cutting my grass. So I hope that's not bothering you too much. I don't know if you can hear that. A lot of times I'll be watching a video and somebody will say, oh, the neighbors are racing their car or making some noise, having a barbecue, whatever. I never hear it. But people are always saying what they hear in the background, hoping that it's not bothering us. So I'm saying right now, I hope that my dog barking at the people cutting my lawn, my my service, I hope that's not bothering you. But the berries are looking pretty good. I'm happy with this little berry look. And we'll see how I feel about the whole look together. I don't know what you think, but I'm pleased with it so far. And I hope you found something fun to color and hold on to add to a card, maybe on a different day, maybe today, and hopefully you'll share it with me. I love to watch what people create and try to make something from the supplies I have. So you obviously don't need the same supplies I'm using. I'm sure if you're a crafter, you have a stamp that you love. Doesn't need to be a flower, could be anything. Also, I do love flower stamps, way too many. I am trying not to buy any more because way too many is not necessarily what I want to be having. So the last I'm going to try is a little bit of purple. I think purple will go well. And it's funny. I'm looking at what purple is that, and it's just called purple. So I'm gonna pick up this purple and I'm gonna see what it looks like in here. There was a little bit of pink in there, but that's okay. I'm cool with that. So let's see how we do with some purple. A little too close to the pink color. I think I'll add some blue. See what happens there. Which one? This one's a little darker. I like the darker one, I think. I think I'm going to go in with that. See how I feel about it. I don't know if you can hear that, but I'm sorry if it's bothering you. It's spring here in New York City, and grass is growing, and the lawn service is out and trying to keep my lawn in check. So I think I'm gonna go with that. Go with that purple. I think the colors all look nice together. And probably gonna come in with a little orange maybe for the centers. There's only 2 of these little flowers, and that may be the end. That may be it for all of the images that need to be colored in. I will scan around. It's not unlikely to miss a leaf somewhere or petal on a flower, and we'll fill those in if I find things that are missing that should have been colored in. I see a few things sort of along here. I don't know what they are. Little buds maybe that I think I'll add some of that full strength pink to those buds and just pretend that that's how they're supposed to be, because no idea. Don't know. I think that's a leaf. I'll have to go back with a leafy color. Pretty sure. I see a leaf there that wasn't colored in. So let's take care of that. Little leaf guy. It's a leaf now. I don't know what it was, but currently it's a leaf. And scan around. I think I'm gonna just, nope, that brush wasn't clean. Now that's sort of orange. So let me take some more of this pink. Well, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna add some of the white to that pink and make it lighten it up again, and do a little bit more blendy. To some of the spots. And then I think I'm gonna pretty much be done. Dried back a little bit and sort of see the lines, so I want to blur those lines in. That's what's more pleasing to my eye. And you know, kind of thinking back to Bob Ross, who if you're of a certain age, you know what I mean. Bob Ross had just a lovely, happy demeanor, and that's what crafting brings to me. It's all about bringing the happy. Bring it. Who has enough happy? I will take as much happy as anyone can give me, and crafting is me giving happy to me. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Just blending this in a little, and as I said, it's gonna dry, and it looks a little bit different when it dries. I hope I haven't taken out all the dimension, but I do wanna see if I could just keep it nice and blended and not look too like there's too many harsh lines. So yeah, I think that's pretty, oh, too strong, too strong. So, but pretty close to done, pretty close. Just color here and there, and then a little bit more blendy. I can't help it, I just keep going back over and over. That's who I am, that's what I do. Usually, I wish I had stopped earlier, but it is what it is. So, gonna clean that off again, doing a little bit more light pink, and call it a day. Call it an afternoon. Get ready to move on to the rest of my day. So I think I'll do another Stash Dive Part 2 episode, and take these things and put them together, make something out of them. The abstract, the flowers, everything is just a little step. That's how I operate. I know I've seen people just create in an hour beautiful full projects. Can do it, and that's okay. I've made peace with who I am and what I can do, and I hope you do too. Don't let speed or lack of speed take the joy out of your crafting. That's what I'm going with. We'll see what it looks like when it dries back. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Gonna make something with this flower. I'll show it to you what it looks like when it dries back. Gonna make something with this. Gonna make something with this. And I hope you come back to see what they look like when they're all done. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great weekend, and till next time, bye-bye, YouTube.